finally have the time for our episodes to resume.
Yeah,
How are
I
you?
was looking forward to see you back. I know you were looking forward to that break, and to be honest, it was quite hectic. The September for us, we were traveling around the country to have all
Mm,
these Welcome September events, so we
mm,
didn't really have much time for side projects. But now things have settled. We
mm,
are slowly getting into the winter mood, and winter mood
mm,
also means a bit of extra time for projects like this one, for example.
mm,
So
mm.
looking forward to see what we can do with this
Yeah,
project up till Christmas.
yeah.
Now it should be a weekly occurrence, so
Mm.
should be fun to
It
see what
definitely
happens
should be.
further.
I think I enjoyed the first two episodes, and I guess we have some interesting topics for the episode three.
No,
Before we get into the episodes or topics, I wanted to just remind the audience this episodes are focusing on um, topics that happened last week, and that is why it's called Last Week in Denmark. So we chat about the current affairs. We talk about stories or news that experts could find interesting, and also make informed decisions about it. And we make sure that we cover the most important topics as we speak. So without further ado, Narcis, let's talk about, or let's start with the most important topic about high school education reforms.
no.
And in
What do you know about
Denmark,
high school, Aaron? What do you know about high school in Denmark? Have you ever met anyone in high school in Denmark?
I've actually had a number of neighbors whose children are actually at high school. If I understood correctly, is it gymnasium that they call in Danish?
Well, that's the thing, because they actually have the word high school as well,
Mm,
but
mm,
that's a bit let's just say confusing, because high school in Denmark and high school in, well, most of the rest of the world
yeah.
probably, it's different.
Oh
Here, high
wow.
school is a
Okay.
place where you go after you turn 18, and it's more like to find yourself, to study, I don't know, some strange subject like archery, or I don't know, game design or
Mm,
fantasy book writing or
mm,
whatever fits your desires. It's most a place to find yourself,
mm,
and it's they're literally called Højskole. It's a whole thing
mm,
about it.
mm,
If you're looking for the direct translation of the word high school.
mm,
But yeah, as you said correctly, there is gymnasiums, and there's also obviously vocational schools
mm.
in Denmark. So either one or the other they can go. But your neighbors kids, what kind of, because you always hear these numbers, STX,
Exactly.
HHX, HTX, whatever. What about your neighbors? What letters were they going to?
So they are currently pursuing STX, which is a general
STX.
theoretical education for, and they are aiming to go for university at some point, but they are at STX. But
Well,
I
that's
actually
correct.
don't know what STX mean, first of all. Could you put some words on what is exactly STX?
It's just general education. Literally, when
Okay.
you don't know what to study further and you just know that you want to go to university later on,
Mm,
you go to
mm.
STX. Usually, it's the hardest one to enter. Usually, you need,
Oh.
like today, you need a minimum grade or average grade of 5. And if
Mm,
people think of 5 in the usual 0 to 10, which would mean half, it's
mm,
wrong.
mm,
In Denmark, you have this 7 scale grading, which starts from -3 and it ends at 12. So
mm.
a 5 is actually a
Pretty good.
above medium grade.
Mm.
Above
Yeah.
medium, a 2 will be a passing grade, so 5 is pretty good grade actually. A
I
12 is
actually
just
remember from
exceptional.
yeah, I actually remember it from my Danish language exam where I actually scored, and I could recollect even a two is considered to be a good number because two is the pass mark, I guess, per minimum
Yeah,
grade you required to pass the Danish exam. So I get where you come from, and the examples are
I
pretty
mean,
clear.
you really have to be bad to get a -3. Like, I have
You never
never
show up
seen a
at exam.
-3. Not necessarily. Then you just get an absence from the exam, right? You don't get
Okay.
a grade.
Ah.
You should actually give in a, like, something to the exam to be able to get a grade. You just get a no presence
Mm, mm,
situation, right? But
mm.
if we're talking about letters, STX, right? STX, as I said, is
Mm.
general. But if you want to say something else, there is also HO X, which
Yeah.
basically, if you know already that later on in university you're going to study something with business, with foreign languages, you're more internationally minded, then you go to
Mm.
HOHO X. Or if
Mm.
you know you're going to work with technology like you, or science, then you're going to go to HTX. So
TX.
those are the three: STX, HOHO X, HTX, and they all have this minimum grade of 5.
Mm.
And then people who want to study something with their hands, like to be electrician, a carpenter, then they
Mm.
go to EUX. That's another
Mm.
X, the fourth X. And then there's the strange one out, which is HOF.
Mm.
Basically, this one is like a 2-year education,
Mm.
and it also can be like a bridge between school and university.
Mm.
HOF basically is for those people who decided to study 10th grade, because the
Mm.
Danish school has only 9 grades, so you finish in ninth grade is the last grade. But they have given the option for people who are not ready to choose one of the X's.
Mm.
They can stay one more year in school,
Mm.
so-called 10th grade, right?
Tina
So that's
classes.
kind of
Mm.
the today's high school environment in
Mm.
Denmark. By the way, Arun, what kind of high school did you go to?
So in India, I think we have until 12th standard. And the schooling stops there. That's called higher education, high school. And then we have, just like you said, vocational educations. We have also engineering universities. We also have economy, and there's a lot of 3-year, 4-year program. And the one that I chose was actually a 4-year engineering program after my 12th grade. And
But 12th grade, that means that's not really high school anymore. That's university. So what did you study from ninth grade to 12th grade? Didn't you have like some sort of different education? Is the same school till 12th grade?
So it's called as a junior college, but we in India have, I think, until 12th standard. So we call them as standards. First standard to 10th is one group, and then 11th and 12th we prepare for university. And they have, I think, exams on the 10th grade and also on the 12th standard. So it's a bit different
It's
compared to
quite
how it
different.
works in Denmark. Yeah. And by the time when I reach my let's say bachelor's, 4 years of studying in engineering, I actually will be 21, 22, and that is 22 is like an average year of people graduating from university. That's like a bachelor's program.
Yeah.
That's not typically a 4-year program, but a lot of people also choose commerce, studying about economy, and
What did you study
also
about before
I
engineering? Like,
before engineering, I was studying I think it was called as electives. So I chose the computer science as my elective. Computer science, maths, physics, chemistry, and then you
okay.
also have an option of biology, botany, and zoology as another option, another track. And usually those are preferred for someone who is pursuing medicine. Computer science, obviously, about technology, even mechanical engineering students and civil engineering students choose
Wow.
the max physics chemistry. And it's quite intense.
We
It's
couldn't
very
be more
competitive.
different, Aaron. We couldn't be more different. I swear.
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what did I study based on how much you know about me? What did you think I studied in my high school?
If I have to guess, I have no
Yeah.
idea what you studied, but if I have to guess, political science. If I
That's not possible in the ninth grade in Romania, but something
okay,
close to it. I studied philology and philosophy.
wow, I have to recollect. What is philology?
Philology is the study of languages. Basically, you
Oh,
have to understand the essence and the roots of how you construct a language.
that's
Uh,
interesting. So, what
yeah,
language?
can you imagine?
What is the oldest language? Have you read across this history about
No,
languages,
I had
roots?
to study Latin. I had my final exam in Latin.
Oh, Latin. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
so it was nice because I had to do a lot of extra work with tutoring in Latin, because obviously it's not an easy language to get
Oh.
across. And but luckily in Romania there's this honor system where if you go to your Olympics,
Mm.
we have this like school competitions called Olympics,
Mm.
where you're
Okay.
like a talent in a certain field, right? So I was
Mm.
going to Olympics in geography, history,
Mm.
economics,
Mm.
and because of that, because I was going national level, I didn't have to go to school. I was going off school for 2-3 months at once to
Okay.
just prepare for the Olympics. So all the other grades, they were just giving me automatically grades for the other subjects because they
Wow.
didn't have to bother. So I found a way to cheat high school. You
You
can
were a
say.
bright student, I guess. You were a bright student, I guess.
You have to be
No,
good
no,
at one or two subjects, and then the
yeah.
others are following, right?
But there is also in the schools back in, I think, in India, there are people who are really overachievers and they actually skip 1 or 2 grades.
Okay.
This does not happen at eighth or ninth standard. This usually happens between third to until, like, let's say, sixth or seventh standard. And I've
It's
seen
so
some
weird to
people
hear
who
standard. When you say standard, for me, it's so
first
weird. I'm
standard,
sorry.
first class, second
Class,
class, and
year,
yeah.
grade, but standard. I'm, I could have never imagined that to be a word for a year.
That's the terminology I used, and I think it's very prominently used. But if you have to refer it to a class, yeah, ninth class, eighth class,
Or
seventh
grade
class, yeah,
or year,
yeah,
for God's
yeah.
sake. So
And
that's
the grading system is also different, by the way. We don't have like
goodness.
the Danish grading system; it's different grading system. And I don't know much about grading comparison now, but I think when people try to apply for universities, they have a grading conversion, and they have to validate what is the equivalent grading in, let's say, university that you're applying for in Europe
But what's the
from India.
scale that you use, from 0 to 10 or what?
I think it's 0 to 10, but it's
But
not the
that's
same way. It's not the same way as how it's in Denmark, right? So it's a
but
bit
in
different.
Denmark it's strange, to be honest, the scale, and they have many people have spoke against this scaling system, and I was hoping it will be
Mm,
part of the reform to be changed. But
mm,
it's one of the few countries, if not the only, in Europe
mm,
who has this strange scaling system, grading system. In Romania we have 0 to 10.
mm.
So does
Pretty
India have zero
straightforward.
to ten, or do you have something more strange out of
I
than
think
that?
it's the same, more or less
Is
the
the
same.
same.
Yeah,
I think most
yeah,
of the
yeah,
world has 0 to 10. Well, no, maybe
yeah.
not, because UK, for example, has A, B,
Mm.
C, D, E
That's
as
the
letters.
equivalent number. I think that there's one way to actually connect those A, B, C, D in terms of numbers. At least that is good. But universities in Denmark, yes, it is very difficult. And I know a lot of people who applied for universities. They had to validate what is the equivalent score, and there's a lot
No.
of process. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I had some understanding about STX, HTX, and HSX. I've
Nice.
also read your article, which I could see that there are two options that would be removed. One is HF and another one is EUX.
Yeah,
Why are they getting replaced? Yeah.
the vocational one, EUX and the HOF, they're being
Mm,
replaced with EPX because they want
mm,
people to choose between three versions, right? Either STX, general, either
mm,
HOX, which surprises me that it remains because it's
mm,
business and international relations. And
mm,
then you have now EPX if you want to, you think that you might be pursuing vocational education,
mm,
but
mm,
maybe later on you decide that you want to actually still go to university, so you can still do that. So basically they want to replace completely vocational schools with another gymnasium. They're going to actually establish
okay.
87 gymnasiums, EPX gymnasiums around the
Oh.
country. So there will be no more vocational institutions. So basically you go to a gymnasium, you can still become an electrician, a carpenter after 2 years. And then if
Mm,
you decide, well, maybe I don't want to be an electrician, I want to go to
mm,
university, then you stay one more
mm,
year, and then you can go to university. So basically, they just wanted to, because too few people now are studying vocational, way too
mm,
few. Too many people go to university. So that means that the number of people who are overly qualified, overly
mm,
educated compared to the needs of the labor market is too high.
mm,
And at the same time there's a need for people who have a background in welding, in metal working, in electrics, in so someone needs to do this work as well.
mm, mm,
And the salaries are pretty high, and you always need to import people from abroad because
mm,
simply nobody wants to take those jobs. And then you end up with a lot of people who are unemployable in a way, or
mm,
they're just sitting outside of the job market, even though the job market right now it's on the side of demand. They need a
mm,
lot more people, so that's why
mm,
they want to kind of rectify that by getting more people to choose the vocational background. So that's why they say, okay, you're afraid to go to vocational, no worries, you go still like to a gymnasium, but the point is, at some point, if you're tired of studying, you can retire as an electrician
But I have a
and so
question
on.
here, and the question is, of course, let's say people have EPX and they
Hmm.
opted for EPX, and then they decide, okay, maybe an electrician won't be, let's say, a decent job to work. For example, this is my
Yes.
assumption, right? And I need some high-paying jobs or maybe more challenges. And if people start to think in that way, and start to challenge themselves and say, I wanted to be a specialist on something, highly
Mhm.
paid, highly competitive jobs or something, then
Just want to
I think
mention
that is how.
electricians are very highly paid in general. So
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of people in India, at least in the demography, choose engineering because we have this mindset that the engineering degree is vital to secure a lot of computer jobs. Jobs in IT is very flourishing. And is it different from the way Indians think and the way Danish education is? Because I don't know if people choose EPX and then transition to, let's say, I wanted to study further. What then will be that could be a void in, let's say, a role of a carpenter or an electrician or a welder, because he might think that maybe he needs more competitive jobs. Or does it seem to affect the country right now? How is the situation right now, and what
no,
is
but
the
the
mindset?
situation is bad because too few
Mm,
people choose to study to be an
yeah.
electrician, to
Mm,
be a
mm,
carpenter, because they feel like this. Once you choose that direction, you cannot turn back. So that's why
mm,
they came up with this whole EPX solution. Is that okay? It's still a gymnasium. You might be able to end in 2 years and go and be an electrician, or you can
mm.
stay a third year and go to
And
university.
then university.
So
Get it.
so either way, it shouldn't be so afraid to enter an EPX.
Mm,
So the only difference
mm,
between an EPX and STX and HOHOX will be the grade requirements. Basically,
mm,
if you couldn't go to STX or HOHOX, you can go to an
mm.
EPX because the grade requirement is lower. It's a 2.
Exactly, and
So
that's the minimum
so
requirement, which is also an average grade is two to get into EPX.
yeah,
Talking
exactly.
about grades, they have also increased the grade from 5 to 6 in entry levels for STX and HSX,
Exactly, but that's
HHX. Yeah.
they haven't done that yet. Remember, this
Okay.
is a reform that's proposed to be passed this autumn, and
Mm,
then it with the implementation year of 2030.
mm,
That's in 6 years from now. I'm very
mm,
shocked that they have chosen such a faraway thing, but they have to
mm,
establish 87 educational institutions,
mm.
and that's going to cost them 5 billion kronas
That's a lot of money.
to
Yeah.
yes, that's a lot of taxpayers' money. Yeah, it's gonna be an expensive reform to begin with,
Mm,
but
mm.
yeah, what can I say
What
more?
value does it bring for, let's say, for English speakers? Let's say if I want to, if in the future, if my let's say future son or something, a kid decides to study, and let's say he or she chooses English based education, does it still help expat students in any way to pursue this, or is it only for Danish medium schools?
Well, first of all, the STX, OX, EPX are only for Danish speakers. They
Mm,
are in
mm,
Danish. If you want to study in English at high school level, you need to go
mm,
to IB, International Baccalaureate
mm.
School. That's where my brother went here.
Okay.
So that's the only option that you have, and it usually
Mm,
is a highly theoretical, highly difficult education to pursue. But usually it's a direct line to Oxford, Harvard, all the
okay.
top universities in the world. So it's not for everyone. They are
Mm,
discussing now about establishing private, not private. There are private schools in
mm,
English around Denmark. There is one public school in English
mm,
in Lolland,
mm,
and there's actually intentions to further do the same project in other municipalities. But as you have seen in the previous weeks, the municipalities' budgets don't look so pretty.
mm,
So because of that, such projects have been postponed, but there was a desire to make more English speaking schools.
mm,
As for high schools, there has not been any, let's just say, discussion, because there is this IB option right now. So there is no, it's still a public option. You don't have to pay for it. Normally in other countries it's a private school, which
mm,
costs like 6,000 euros at least per semester.
mm,
But
mm,
in Denmark, it's subsidized by the state. So that was their solution to offer
mm,
more English-speaking spots for
mm,
people who want to study in English in high school. But if you're talking about university level, you know that
mm,
what's great about this reform is that they have added 400 spots in English for vocational university lines. So basically, if you want to study something related to technology or
mm,
science
mm,
outside of the four big cities,
mm,
you'll be able to do that in the future. because
Oh.
as you know, they will be opening 2,500 spots, but they are at
Mm,
universities.
mm,
Now they also want to have 400 spots for vocational universities, like these university colleges that we have in
mm, mm,
Denmark. Is basically where
mm,
you pursue to learn something effective, like, I don't know, nurse, teacher,
mm.
meister
But
in
this,
some sorts.
but it's also some way to attract international students for vocational programs in
Exactly.
within STEM fields, right? Science,
Within STEM, yeah,
technology.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the focus, because
Uh,
this is what keeps Denmark afloat. I mean, look at it right
mm,
now. In all the Nordics, we are the only ones doing well economically, and that's thanks to innovation that we had in pharma.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and in general, before pharma, there was green technology. So we always
mm,
thrive on innovation, but innovation also comes out of having people that are qualified in technology and science.
mm.
And obviously, the more talents they can attract to Denmark, the better it is for them. So of course
Yeah,
they
yeah.
would like to open technology and science lines. I mean,
Mm,
that's a given.
yeah, yeah.
It's a bit sad they don't also think about opening lines in nursing or in teaching or other
Mm,
things that are not STEM related.
mm,
Because I just see that just as many people could be a very good nurse.
mm.
I don't have to necessarily be great with robotics or whatnot
I
to
think
be part of
robotics is
that.
quite cool because I think in Odense they have a hub for robotics. It's becoming a hub, popular hub. Today, there's a lot of research and development within robotics happening in Fyn region. I could actually see within my, I would say, also in the media, but it's quite popular in Denmark, apart from pharmaceuticals and of course,
That's
this.
true. I think
Mm,
Odense Robotics is really smart at specializing themselves. I mean,
mm,
the city of Odense was smart to specialize
mm,
themselves into one area. So now it's all about drones. Have you seen that recently they attracted this
yeah,
large American company to bring their
yeah,
drones to their
yeah.
airport?
Mm,
They develop military mines and
mm.
anything related to military
Yeah,
robotics,
surveillance and
drones,
also, yeah, yeah,
surveillance. Yeah, all of
yeah.
that. That's Odense.
Huge potential. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of their place, and that's why they were smart to do that. I mean, I wish in Aalborg
Mm,
here we could find our niche. I know that we are quite known in terms of technology as well because of
mm,
space technology.
mm,
We have a
mm,
lot of space technology companies here in Aalborg,
mm,
but I don't think we can. That's enough. I don't think that's enough. I feel like we should
mm,
get two, three other fields that we could specialize ourselves in. Of course, you're in
mm.
Copenhagen. For you, there's no such thing as specialization because that would be stupid in the capital.
Yeah, I think talking about Albo, we will just slightly move ahead on the topic and then
Yeah,
talk about payments in Denmark that are made in cash.
payments.
11% of all payments in Denmark are made in cash,
I'm
and it's
surprised they're still
interesting.
happening.
I was about to ask a question, but what's interesting to me in the graph is that 18% come from Aalborg and 9% in Copenhagen. And let's walk through the topic. But before that, I know even today, if I go to Copenhagen city center, close to the station in Copenhagen, sometimes people ask for cash instead of asking to pay through mobile pay or bank transfer. And I don't know exactly why they need it in cash, but apparently they do. A lot of shops also ask for cash as option, and I was wondering, why is it a problem? Why can't we just have both? Of course, it is not an attractive option for someone who is moving to Denmark, expecting him to have, let's say, all the bank currency notes. But currency is also one form of a trade. And why is this a concern? And why suddenly? And is decline seen as an issue, or yeah? Let us talk about it.
No, I don't think it's an issue. It's just statistics, mate. In Denmark,
Mm,
we aim to be a cashless society because,
yeah.
to be honest, most people who choose to pay by cash,
Mm,
they have two reasons. One, either because they're stubborn to do so and they really don't trust the government or they don't trust the banks and they have a severe trust issue, which is
mm,
problematic in a Danish society. Or
mm,
two, they are washing money and they don't want to declare those money, obviously.
mm.
uh,
Yeah.
and and you probably know that there's like millions and millions of kronas which are not being reported every
Mm,
year.
okay.
I mean, people are not aware, but you need to report any sort of income that you make outside of your salary, even if you sell something on
Mm,
whatever, Facebook. You sold your
mm,
chair 500 crowns. That's income.
mm,
You need to report it at the end of the year, but people, not many people don't do that.
mm,
So that's how you end up with lots of cash around, lying around your
mm,
house, and you
mm,
wonder,
mm.
why do you have cash? Well, there's a reason why
But
we
that,
have
but
cash.
then, but then, at some point, will the government see it as an option to just stop printing notes and just use digital currency, or
No, they will not stop printing notes
yeah,
because it's more about the meaning behind it, right? What's the
mm,
meaning of having a certain currency? But it'll become more of a museum thing.
yeah,
They will still release it every 10, 20 years, but nobody will
mm,
actually use it. It will be
mm,
something
mm,
that it's more for decoration. But think about it from a business perspective. It's
mm,
more
mm,
expensive for me to handle cash if I have to
mm.
collect cash from you than to
True,
handle direct payments. So
true.
it's not fun that I have to go with a box of money
Mm.
every evening to the bank, right?
Okay, it
It's
makes
not
sense for
great
me.
for me as a
And
business. So yeah, and
I've seen in buses, like very rarely, I've seen someone take the bus and then pay the trip to buy the tickets using currencies. Is it the same scenario in buses in, let's say, Albo? Do we still have the machine in the bus that collects currencies to get the ticket, or how does it work?
wow, I didn't know you even had that. In Aalborg, we don't have such thing.
Oh wow,
Uh,
okay,
it's
that's
here. You
surprising.
either you either pay the driver at the entrance or you use your rice record, right? And these days,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. So
anyone
then
has a
I'm
rice record.
mentioning the same, I guess. It's a machine that is, or the, I would say, currency collecting something. There's an equipment right next to the door
Yeah, but
when
it's
you
not.
walk into the bus. Yeah.
It's like a sensor, right? And you just scan your
No, no,
card.
no. Not the check-in sensor. I mean the machine that collects 5 kronas to 2 kronas and
Wow,
notes. Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have such thing.
Okay, then there are two different operators, I guess, between these two islands,
Most
and
likely,
but we
most likely
still
there.
have them, and they're expensive also, right, to maintain, because they have to function and they're rarely used. But I know the purpose when somebody has no access to, let's say, a phone or a card. Probably, people who is not using technology still have cash to take the bus. And I said, it takes a lot of time. And then it takes really quite some time, because they have to put in the currency, and then the remaining balance have to come, and then the driver or the conductor issues the ticket for them. And then but I don't see them anywhere. It's just in the buses. For
Hmm.
buying a ticket, you can also buy it in a ticket vending machine, which collects cash in stations. I think it should be there in your region in Albo, but in buses, I think it's going to be obsolete at some point, because rarely people use it. And
No, that's
it's,
true. But as I said, now it's just the purpose of statistics. They want to see if people
mm,
are slowly getting used to the idea of
mm,
not using cash. And as we
mm,
can see, one in nine only uses cash in general.
mm, mm,
I cannot remember the last time I used cash, to be honest.
mm,
Uh, I don't think I have any cash around the house
mm.
if someone is looking for it. So that's why sometimes people ask for money. They like from
Mm,
some various charities and whatnot, and I
mm.
was like, I don't have any cash, but
Yeah.
now they're prepared. They are prepared. Here's mobile pay. No worries.
Mm. I actually have cash with me all the time when I travel to and come from India, because worst case scenario, if something gets freaking out, like let's say no internet or low battery, there's always something that I have as backup, at least like 200 or 500 kronas,
No,
so I could take a taxi or buy some tickets or something. And I still remember the first time when I traveled back to India from Denmark, I had equivalent amount of Indian currencies, the same mindset. Because what if my phone doesn't function in India from the airport? So I have to have some Indian currency. So I always have physical form of currency for the worst case scenario. I still do that, but
yeah.
but it is a process that I've been I grew up, I say. So for
I
me it's a
mean,
bit difficult.
I also have euro when I go abroad because
Mm,
for some reason I still have euro lying around the house.
mm,
So I know the idea of using cash, and to be honest, I was traveling this summer to Italy,
mm,
and I had places where they were not accepting anything but cash, and I was like, what
mm.
is that? That's so weird. What if I don't have any cash right now? What
Yeah,
should I do?
yeah.
You know, But I think slowly the whole world will move away from cash. I mean,
Mm.
it's not fun to keep touching the same money
Mm.
again and again. God knows where those money have been.
Yeah.
They're not the cleanest way of
Yeah.
transmitting pandemics.
Exactly. That's
They do
the
transmit pandemics. That's the problem. There's all sorts of bacteria and microbes that
I know,
fly
and
together
it
with
has
those
been
damn
one
things.
of the things that even during the pandemic, we were forced not to use cash because that's the easiest medium to spread virus. And I think you're right. Talking about currency, let's focus our attention on banks.
Banks.
There was an thanks to the new system, it will be easier to switch banks in the near future, which was the title of the article. In last week in Denmark, I have a problem with how much interest rate or what is the right interest rate, and I don't know how to compare these prices unless I go visit a bank, talk with them, and then discuss what could be a beneficial option. And that's a long process, by the way. And I'm talking about buying an apartment and whatnot. Lot of conversations are happening. And when I read this article, I said, okay, what is it exactly mean? Is it just like I have an account? Let's say now I have an account in Danske Bank. If I
Yes.
have to switch to, let's say, Nordea, I can just like press one button and then I'm switched, or what, is it something for specific purposes, or is it general that I can just switch
Well,
banks?
before the idea of it is double folded. One is that let's say that you are now courting Nordea to see will they be better option for you.
Mm,
Today you need to provide them with all sorts of documentation so they can use it to be able to provide you an initial offering
mm, mm,
to see if it's better than the one you have today. Well,
mm,
in the near future, it should be soon implemented. You
mm,
just have to press a button saying I give consent that all this data is automatically transferred to Nordea, so Nordea can look
mm,
through it and give me an offer. So basically, it
mm,
saves you the to bother gathering that documentation for them and send it
mm,
to them. And Danske Bank will not know about it. That's the whole idea of this e-bank gift is called program.
mm,
That Danske Bank will not know that you're shopping around, talking
mm,
to other banks. But the idea of it was that's why the Consumer Council has pushed for this
mm,
innovation is because it should be easier for you to 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 ask more banks because there's no way to use a comparison tool. That's why there is no
mm,
comparison tool
mm,
developed between different banks because different
mm.
banks offer you different offers based on your credit history, based on your
Correct.
loans, based on your income, based on everything,
Spending
based on your
habits.
risk.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there's just a lot of things that you need
yeah,
to
yeah.
look at to provide you with an offer. So it'll be almost impossible for an online tool to kind of
Mm,
give you an
mm,
overview of what could be better for you, this
mm,
bank or this bank. So that the idea of the whole thing is that it should be easier for you to shop around
mm,
and then ask 10 banks with 10
mm,
clicks and wait for the offers and then still sit and compare the 10 of them. So that doesn't save you from the part of comparison between
mm,
numbers, but at least you can actively do it. And that's what the Consumer Council wants people to do it because right now
mm,
too many people are stuck in the same bank regardless of fees,
mm,
regardless of anything, because simply
mm.
they don't want to bother to search around. But there are 60 banks
Exactly.
in Denmark, 60
Wow.
banks.
Did you say 60?
60.
Wow. I
So
could hardly count 10. I know Spar Nord, Sparkassen, Jyske Bank, Danske Bank, Nordea, and then loan on Spar. Yeah, that was what I know.
okay.
Maybe
No, but
not even
Arun, do you
10.
know that you can start yourself a local bank, right? Anyone can start a local bank. If you have 500,000 in capital, you can start your own bank in Denmark.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I think it's interesting that you say there are 60 banks, and so the money that I have in my bank account, I can just say, okay, how do I invest in the money, and then I can choose, let's say, loan and spar, for example,
yeah,
and then they have a good returns, let's say, for investing in them. So I can just use this option and say, okay, I need a transfer.
yeah.
Here's the transfer, and then I can just start investing. Is that how straightforward is this process,
True,
or
true. As I said, there was two ways, right? The first one is about when you want to shop around, and the second one is about when you want to switch banks. So let's say
mm,
you decide now, I want loan or spa. Great. Then they now, thanks to the process, they can automatically change your your account from one bank to another without too much hassle for you. So
And
yes, it simplifies severely that part as well.
mm, and is there an administrative cost attached to this, or is it just like everybody can do it? Because then people are going to just switching around. You know what I mean?
That's the
I
idea. I
don't know.
mean, look how easy it is for you to switch from one electric company provider to another, right?
Mm,
It's or from one phone from one insurance to another, right?
mm,
It's the same. They wanted to do it's just as easy in the banks because in the end, the banks are competing with one another. Well,
they might be
hopefully,
more competitive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the
hopefully
idea, right? Yeah.
that's the idea, but most people are stuck with the same bank for years because they find
Mm,
it too cumbersome to switch around, and that
yeah.
makes it difficult for
Same.
smaller banks to compete. Let's say I came
Mm,
here, I made an account in Danske Bank. I did not change until the fact that Danske Bank didn't want to give me a loan for the house. And I was like,
yeah.
okay, now I'm forced to actually look around. I looked
Mm,
around. Nordea was open for internationals to buy
mm,
houses, and they say okay. And I switched all
mm.
my stuff to Nordea, but then I lost all my bank history from Danske Bank. I couldn't see
Oh.
anymore what happened in those years. That's a minus from the past. From what I understand now, all the data is being moved from one bank to another, so that's nice.
Oh, that's good.
But what's cool about it is that there are a lot of local banks. As I said, me and you,
Mm.
Arun, we can start our own bank if we want to. Actually, that would be really cool. There was never such an idea that an international owns a bank in Denmark.
Mm.
That
I'm not
I
going on that for ambitious, ambitious
that's on my
idea.
list to do for
Oh
the
wow!
next decade. I mean, it's just a 500,000 kronas, mate. I mean, come on,
Just a
doesn't
half
take
a
that
million
long.
is too much of a money, my friend. It's not. It's not that. It's not peanuts. For, maybe it's peanuts for you, but not for me, for sure. It's a lot of
No,
money.
anyone
If you
with a
have half
decent
a million,
salary can
if
make
you
that
have
money in a
half a
couple of
million,
years.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's also been invested back in the commune that I'm in. I feel like I feel like it's a dream if I have a half a million and then think about starting an venture or something. To be honest, I think I'll put them in investments, back in investments or some form of investments.
I mean, if you do a
But good
bank, you
luck with
do it
you.
to make a business, right? Not because you want to spend money for no reason. It's a capital.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, imagine that if you had a bank, you would be allowed during when it was the high interest frenzy, right? The banks made so much money by simply keeping their money with the treasury, right, with the central
Mm,
bank.
mm,
That was beautiful, but only banks were allowed to do that, right? To use those
mm,
direct interest rates. So they were
mm,
taking your money and then putting in them there. Literally, they were just storing your money and making money
mm,
with your money, but they were not giving you anything on those money. Correct?
mm.
So
Correct.
imagine if someone had a bank back then, right? How
Mm,
beautiful it would have been. You just take money from people and then you make money on their money. I mean, that's just that's what investments you think you can make that could have the same returns in
mm,
those specific times. Of course, there are
yeah.
years and decades like before the whole
Mm,
craziness with the interest rates, right?
mm,
When it was impossible for the banks to make that much money. They had to live
mm,
out of fees and small interest rates. But things change. It's the
yeah.
way. But I'm just
And
saying that it's possible. It's not impossible, and I'm hoping maybe someone or an international will make this step one day
mm,
to create a banks for internationals or
maybe.
friendly for internationals. I mean, all of
Yeah.
them have to be friendly these days, but
Or more competitive, or an
exactly.
alternative to conventional banking. But yeah, talking about change, let's focus our attention on the price increase of our food over the last 2 years. Crazy in amount, 22% of average price increase for food. And
Yeah.
based on the article, if you could read the article and then see the link, there's a lot of items like olive oil, sugar, chocolate, dry and frozen vegetables, eggs, cheese, flour and potatoes, rice, and all these essentials. That's
Yeah.
just a huge, huge spike I could see.
Well, it's climate change, mate.
Is it just climate change? Come on, Narcis.
It's yes,
I
it
don't
is
think so.
mainly climate change. It's crops. It's supply. The problem is we our demand increases every year because we simply
Mm,
increase in population, right?
mm,
Globally speaking,
mm,
so do we in Denmark. But at the same time, the supply cannot keep up. There have been
mm,
several years of bad crops,
mm,
including this year. It seems
mm,
it's not that great. That's why, for example, coffee is becoming a luxury item. Can you imagine? I think we slowly
mm.
not realizing it, but coffee has increased in price also like 60-70% in the last year.
Yeah, 60 is
I
a
don't
lot.
think if you have
Olive
noticed.
oil is the most like crazy, 82% of price increase in olive oil.
Yeah,
We
there was
just
this.
import olive oil to be. We just
Where do you
import
think?
oil, right?
Where is olive oil coming from, Arun? Where do you think it's coming from?
Let me guess. Definitely not from. Is it in? Okay, let's start with the continents. Europe or outside Europe?
Europe,
If I
yes.
have to guess, Europe. How about Eastern Europe?
South of Europe, it's
S-
olive oil. It only
Olive
grows
oil.
in
Oh,
very arid
Spain.
areas.
Okay,
Spain,
Spain.
Greece,
Oh, yo, you see, I
Portugal,
got it.
Italy.
Okay.
Well, they have been hit by this very terrible summer conditions. I don't know if you have been to
Mm.
Spain or Italy in the summer, but there's like
Italy,
50
yes.
degrees down there
Yeah.
in the south, so you literally burn alive outside. If you come from Denmark, used to 20 degrees to die out of heat, you go at 50 degrees down south, and you're literally going to be like in a
Heat
sauna
wave.
24
Crazy.
hours. Yeah, but that heat wave kills crops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
not enough olive oil is produced,
Mm.
but we do
Mm.
eat more olive oil than ever because we are switching to more healthier lifestyle.
Correct.
We prefer using something nicer, and we have the capacity. We don't perceive it, but we do
Mm.
earn better than we
Mm.
used to do.
Mm.
We can look at olive oil. Like I remember in my study years, right? I couldn't even
Mm.
look at olive oil. That was like, what is this? This is for fancy people.
Mm.
But now I'm like olive oil first, and then only if there is no olive oil in the house, by God forbid why, I would use another kind of oil. I'm using olive oil for everything, so
Wow.
it's yeah. I
I
mean,
think
aren't you?
interesting to say that way. No, I'm using olive oil only when I came to Denmark. The common oils that we use in India is groundnut oil, sesame oil, or sunflower oil. It's also palm oil. There's a lot of variants, and then you
Oof.
also have gingerly oil. There's a lot of variants, and I think India is pretty, I would say, dynamic in the amount of oil we use, and we use a lot of oil, uh, a lot of these foods that we prepare. But olive oil is still a luxury in India, by the way. It's have to be imported, of course, and it's not something that we use on a daily basis. But here in Denmark, I've seen it. You get some really good choices to make. Especially, you have the options of buying gingerly oil. I can
What's
also
that?
see sunflower oil is still popular, but then you also have olive oil, right? And
What the hell is gingerly oil? I've never
oh,
seen
it's a term in India. Uh, I think it's
gingerly oil.
yeah, from groundnuts you get, get from there's also, yeah, it's a groundnut oil, I would say.
Okay, but must be
Yeah.
expensive or in very small quantities in
Com-
Denmark.
yeah, but yeah, it should be expensive in Denmark, but in India the crop is grown everywhere, especially in south of India. I think ground is harvested just like every other state. I think it's very popular.
Okay.
It's very affordable, but
Now,
olive oil is very expensive, and also in rest of the world, but it's considered to be an expensive option, or
yeah, but I mean, you put it on
it's
your
healthy.
salads. You put it.
Yeah.
You cook with it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many options to use olive oil. You eat it with bread. We literally put it
Mm.
in a cup, and then you put some
Oh.
nice bread and eat it like that. That's just, it's a delicacy. And obviously, you have to choose the good type. There is the types that are
Mm.
cheaper, which you use for
Mm.
frying because you use more, and then you
Mm.
you keep the higher quality ones for the for a select. Let's say you have better friends than the usual ones that are visiting you.
Then you switch to the more branded version.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now it's time to take out the good oil. Come on, bring out the good oil. And then we also upgrade the bread, right? You don't use the normal bread, you use ciabatta,
Yeah, ciabatta.
which is something better. Yeah, ciabatta, good olive oil. Now you're really impressing people. And then you put it in a
Yeah.
nice designer made cup. And then that's
True, very
Denmark, you
true.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at age where I have to care about what designer made my cups and my plates and
Come
my
on.
forks. I
George
swear,
Jensen.
I don't know if I have any Jorgensen plates, but yeah.
It's very Danish. It's very popular.
Do you have
I get to.
Jorgensen plates?
I bought one, but I think it's very expensive. Number one, and in my company we have this Christmas gifts, so I
Yeah.
select them from a Christmas gift. I think it's a finest products, by the way.
What
Good
did you
product,
get
but it's
this year
also
for Christmas gift?
this
What was your choice?
this this time I have a flair for Rains, the brand called Rains,
Yeah,
and one of the options
brains.
was to have order a bag, uh, kind of a, I think it's a duffel bag. that you use for
Mhm.
gym or maybe short trips.
Is it
I
against
love
rain?
bags. Yeah, yeah. The company called the brand called Rains. It's very popular. I think a lot of people use it for
Is it
while
because it
rain.
protects against rain or something?
Yeah, I think it does, and also it's I like the texture, and it's very simple yet very I think durable. I guess not just resistant. I think it's also repellent.
Hmm?
So resistant is different, repellent is different. I think
Cool.
rain does both. So yeah, when you get gifts, I think then you choose to say, okay, I go for George Jensen or Royal Denmark, Royal Copenhagen, whatever brands you
So
feel.
that's what you chose in the past years, no? No,
Yeah,
this year
true.
I got this sauna, like a steam sauna.
Oh,
That
okay.
it's like a bag that you can
Yeah.
zip inside, and then there's this machine that pushes steam inside. I was like, well, okay.
Oh,
I saw it's being pushed like crazy on advertising in social media.
okay.
This thing, and I was like, okay, I need to have one of those because
Okay.
again, I'm at an age where I need to start caring about my health and body and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I noticed sauna does well to me, but I cannot afford to go every day to sauna, obviously. Neither time
Why?
or
Why not?
money.
You have
Which
to go to SATs. SATs have a good competitive offer by giving them. Like, I think that
what
is
is
also
that?
one of the reasons why people go to fitness center. SATs gym, SATs fitness center.
We don't
They
have
have
those
sauna
in
inside, right?
Solberg.
We don't have it in. Okay,
No,
the one that I tried in Copenhagen, I think it's close to Nirum, where I work, and they have like yeah sauna inbuilt, and I actually love that. And I guess considered switching from my company fitness to SATs just because of that, despite the fact that it is also expensive compared to my company's gym. But it's a good option, and also in swimming pools you get sauna as one of the options. So I go to sauna, take the cold shower, and then head to the swimming pool. I just love them, but it of course requires a lot of effort. You have to go there, you have to do something. But
so
having
that's
a
why
sauna at home is a good
I want to
alternative.
build my own
Yeah, I
facilities.
could
To be
get that.
honest, I was
Yeah.
very close this summer to get a sauna and build one
Mm.
in
Mm.
my own home because one of my friends built a
Mm.
sauna by himself, do it
Oh,
yourself. My God, in his
okay.
garage, and I was like, God damn it, man! But of course, he's like you. He's a tech background, so
Okay.
he likes to play with tools and whatnot. Obviously, I
Mm.
don't have such a background as we
Mm.
have discussed
Mm.
earlier. So for me, the option was to buy one already made
Mm.
and install
Mm.
it in my
Install.
courtyard.
Cool.
But I never got to do it. I was waiting for price drop or whatever, and then I forgot about it.
Okay.
But that's my dream. I want to get one of those outside pool. Not my dream, Jesus.
Mm.
My next thing to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to make one
Yeah.
of those
Short term goal.
outside pools where you can make like bubbly water during the winter, and
Mm.
then
Mm.
next to it I want to have like sauna, and then next to it I want to have this cold water bucket
Pool
where you can
buckets.
just
Yeah.
jump
Okay.
into it
Oh, yeah.
to
That
be
would
like, and
be.
then build like a patio out of wood and make it like a nice relaxed place to be with warm not like a pool but more like a
Yeah.
jacuzzi,
No, no. I get your
you know.
point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the stuff I'm aiming at. I'm at that age where that excites me. I'm no longer interested in traveling the world or just doing stuff like that, you know. My dreams now resume to building my own how to call it,
Comfy jacuzzi.
yeah, yeah, that's the life, right? So that's, do you
Yeah.
have such ideas, Arun?
So I dreamt of having that, but as you pointed out, I still dream to travel more. But at some point, I wanted to
You're
settle
younger.
down, and yeah, I'm too old actually it's, maybe young to actually decide on building something on my apartment or something. But I think that at some point I will end up doing what you're doing. But you're actually too young to think about it. You're not that
Why?
old, to be honest, right? Yeah, yeah. But maybe you would had a lot of travels in the past that
Yeah,
you got over with travels. But I still have the craze for traveling more,
you do.
exploring other
Okay.
continents. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to explore more, and then at some point, of course, come back and build my own garage. I'd like to have a fancy car. uh,
Okay.
Aston Martin is one of my favorite. And then
One
have
of
my
the
own garage,
classics.
and then Yeah, it is one of the classics.
Yeah,
James Bond inspired, but I still believe it's a very finest art. But then, yeah, that's one of the dreams that I want to have, a garage for myself with my home, and then yeah,
where you can
I'll
do like
be
custom projects.
custom projects. Yeah,
Nice,
or maybe
nice.
yeah, or maybe just have it and then yeah. In movies, I saw them and I said, okay, at some point I will do this.
That's your retirement
Have this
plan.
retirement plan, being a mechanic, and then
It's
building my own
crazy we're
garage.
talking about retirement plan right now, but because I will be 35, 34. I don't know anymore. I don't
You're
care.
34 right
Then
now,
I'm
right?
35 soon. Then,
Okay.
um, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's quite a lot. So, because
You
I,
have
as
a
you
lot
said,
of years ahead.
I did travel a lot in my 20s. I started
Mm.
traveling when I was like 16 or something,
Oh,
and then
wow.
in my 20s, I think I've done most of the things I wanted. I
Mm.
think at some point during university years, I was gone every month to two different countries.
My God. How many
So
countries have you visited, Narcis, so far?
that's a good question.
You
I
didn't
never
count. You stopped
counted
counting.
them. No. There's many. I mean, in Europe, there's very few, if
Yeah.
almost none left.
Mm.
I did north of Africa, not south though. Didn't
Mm.
go that much low. I did only
Mm.
the entry to Asia, but I did never
Mm.
went towards China, Japan, that
Mm.
direction.
Mm.
I
Mm.
stopped Central Asia and I
Mm.
did South America. I just never
Mm.
been further to the North
Mm.
America. Yeah, never been to North
Mm.
America. That's true.
Mm.
North America,
I
no, and neither Far East Asia or South Africa.
mm.
That's kind of the place I
I
didn't
have to
reach.
cover everywhere. I haven't been outside of India. When I came to Europe, I've never gone out of another continent. But my dream is, or my short-term goal is to travel different continents, and then also, yeah, make memories, make more memories, and yeah. But I think it will be fun because I'm taking a lot of solo trips. I'm thinking of actually joining team local communities in Denmark that are planning to go hike and also city tours. So I think it's going to be a promising couple of years. I have
Arun,
quite ambitious.
a good tip for you would be to
Yeah.
join some associations here. For example,
Okay.
if you join my association Europa Movement,
Yeah. Okay.
they have 3, 4 yearly tours to some countries. For example, they have this year to Japan
Mm.
one to it was there to Davos, where there was this
Okay.
economic forum in Davos. So you
Mm.
get to be there when that happens. That's very cool. So if you're part of different associations, you can get cheaper discounted trips or even free trips around. That's how I got to go a lot. This is, for
Oh.
example, the logo from an organization called European Youth, and
Oh.
thanks to it, I was able to see a lot of the of Europe
Okay.
without paying money from my pocket.
Okay.
So if you're
And how
active
do I
in
become a member? Oh, I have to be a member of that, right? Or
exactly, if you become a member,
mm.
I mean, it's not difficult. You only just have to pay this yearly membership, which usually is like
Mm.
150 kronas or something.
That's not much. Yeah. Yeah.
No, and then I mean have some sort of presence there, here and there, and then use the opportunities provided to you. You
Mm.
know,
Mm.
yeah.
Narcis, I think I guess we had talked about a lot of topics, starting from education reforms, soaring prices with food, banks switch. There's also something we spoke about. What did we talk more about? If I have to recollect my memory,
About food
uh,
price
food and also
increases,
yeah, price increase,
yeah,
payment gateway,
cash,
right? Cash, yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything that you want to touch more, or
I mean, if you
yeah,
stay and look at the newsletter, you'll see that there is many subjects that we could
yeah,
cover, and
yeah,
obviously that will not be possible. But that's what makes Last Week in Denmark so interesting. Many people are using it as a tool to either have discussions around the
yeah.
table with their family or to have discussions at
Mm,
work with their coworkers,
mm,
because there's always something there for everyone. I mean, if you're more
exactly.
interested in what should we say about the external situation in Israel, Gaza, there is something there. Or if you're more interested
Mm,
about things related to children and their
mm,
development, or if you're more interested in animals and
mm,
climate change, if you're depends what really like jumps into your eyes, because it's always interesting around to see what, because you choose the subjects for these conversations, or most of them at least, and it's always interesting for me to see what jumps into you, because I was like, wow, okay,
mm,
that's what you chose, cash price increases, and okay, that if that's
Obviously,
what's interesting, then
that's the mind of an expat, thinking about how much should I have to pay, and these are topics which are really relevant. Number one, and you also cover topics that attracts a lot of wider audiences. So, like you said, some for kids, some for let's say geopolitical. There's also focus areas about educational reforms, and there's
it's
also
like a
inland.
magazine.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think I like the parts where it talks about what is it. I just think about what is it for me, and
Hmm?
when I say me as an expat, and then I
International.
handpick. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. International, and those international stories will resonate for my audiences listening to these podcasts, and also your audiences, by the way. And that helps, right? And I can also dive deep into these topics in the future to investigate more. I think I use this forum to also educate myself, and I'm getting a really good valuable insights just because of having 1 hour conversation with your work. And yeah, it's quite impressive
cool.
that I'm also learning on the process.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, this
uh,
is like a very interesting relaxation moment to just sit and talk. I like
yeah,
talking,
yeah.
I guess. So
And I actually like diving deep into subjects, but I also want to have back with facts, and that is where I
Mhm.
think your knowledge and insights and the work that Last Week in Denmark is doing mainly benefits my work as well, in saying, okay, these are interesting topics, and how do we know if it's all in Danish, when you can actually make it in a pocket-sized, friendly user interface where it is available in multiple languages. For example, you're making it in different languages. I could see not just
yeah.
one, but I think it's 7 to 8 languages, if I'm not wrong.
Now we have our seventh language, German,
Oh,
that was just
oh yeah.
launched.
Oh,
And
okay.
from what I see now, Hungarian is being on the way. And then
Hmm.
I'm really, really pushing for Ukrainian to be the next one.
That should be impressive. If you're taking Ukraine as one of the steps, absolutely it'll be a hit for sure. There's a lot of
That's why
audiences.
I'm hoping, but
Yeah,
for that, I need community, for the Ukrainian community to come and
support. Mm,
support and translate,
mm, mm,
because
mm.
I cannot translate in Ukrainian, as you can
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we need people who can do that.
Yeah, cool. Narcis, it was amazing. After a short break that we had, I was completely, I would say, I would say, blown away with a lot of facts. By reading, I can't spend, as you mentioned, all the 15, 16 topics are in the Last Week in Denmark articles. So people watching on or listening to this podcast, reach out to Last Week in Denmark, where you get insights of literally everything that we've spoken and more, much more. So thank you for listening, and wish you a
Thank
good
you.
week ahead.
See you next week. Looking
See
forward to
you.
it.
Yeah.